latte di merda.
Mamma mia. Come si è messa a cazzo, guarda. Chi è che ha bestemmiato?
Io ho bestemmiato. Io ho bestemmiato perché qua non va un cazzo.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are here and ready at Hungaroring. It's International GT Open weekend. Once again, qualifying one about to get underway. The rain continuing to fall down, but here, nonetheless, the cars making their way out onto the track. The humidity was stretching quite high already. No surprises, it's always warm here at Budapest, but here now, double up with the rain. The drivers are going to be feeling very sweaty and sticky indeed, but nonetheless, qualifying gets underway. In the story of this championship currently looks a little like this. The top of the championship order is Al Faisal, Arzuber and Michael Grenier, who despite them not partaking this weekend, they only tend to do selective races through the course of the campaign. They were the winners back at Spa-Francorchamps, but they are not here this time around. Second in the championship though, Alessio Deleda and Jordan Pepper, though a driver change happening this weekend already for that car means that we will see a slight twist. And you never know, Hungaroring is famed for providing slight twists where it comes to the championship. Here joining me in qualifying, my name being George Morgan, Chris Stevens alongside me. Chris, it's a wet one, it's a deluge, but qualifying's underway nonetheless.
Absolutely, and the car collection drivers, I'm sure, are absolutely rubbing their hands together seeing these conditions, because the Porsche famously goes very well in the wet weather. So we will see how the different manufacturers compare once we get the first series of lap times in, but it has been on and off rain all morning long. Google Weather has lied to me all week, telling me it was going to be beautiful sunshine, very much the weather we had yesterday. 38 degrees yesterday.
Google Weather do that to you, Chris?
I know. Well, I didn't bring a jacket with me, and it seems like we've already got a car off the road.
Oh, wow.
And that's the Attempto Audi, isn't it?
Well, not debutante, but they're back.
Yes.
Of course, former Porsche, now Audi R8 LMS.
Yes, become very synonymous with Audi in GT3 racing now, has the Attempto team. And just looking to see who's at the wheel of that car is Alex Acker driving the car at the moment. So he's just had a little off-track excursion down at what looked like turn number 2. But yes, obviously very, very different conditions to what the drivers faced yesterday. 89% humidity out there today, and just 23 degrees track temperature, whereas yesterday it was well into the 50s. So yes, it might well have been the 27 Spirit of Race Ferrari 296 with Eddie Cheever at the wheel going fastest in free practice yesterday. We'd normally take those times with a pinch of salt anyway, because the teams are running various different ages of tyre life because they don't run their new sets in free practice. But I think today, with the condition changes, we'll take that with a whole shaker full of salt.
I would say so. I certainly don't think you can go by any rule book at this point. It's all rules are off the table. Looking ahead, or looking back at free practice, I should say, in terms of the fastest times, it was Lucas Dunner, Lorenzo Flusha going fastest in free practice 1, nailing down a 1:44.785. Free practice 2, Spirit of Race, Marco Polcini and Eddie Cheever for third, setting a 1:43.992. And the bronze test, once again, Team Motorpark, Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkeil setting a 1:44.898. Quite comparable, actually, with free practice 1's Lucas Dunner and Lorenzo Flusha. So immense credit to them. Obviously, they have been the AM pairing to watch of Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkeil, the reigning AM champions alike, but you've also got to give credit to Lucas Dunner and Lorenzo Flusha, two young stars. Lucas Dunner, of course, made sporadic appearances last season and is now in for a full campaign this time, with Lorenzo Flusha, who's been racing with Cool Racing in LMP2 prototypes, now here again in GT Sport Organisation competition, was taking part in the realms of Euro Formula. We now have him in GT3.
We certainly do. Sorry, John, I've just suddenly realised I picked up a sparkling water rather than a still from the fridge this morning.
There's enough water outside.
Yes, I know, I have spilt a little bit of it. It's fine, none of it got on the notes. Right, a spin on track for the car barn Mercedes. Dexter Muller currently at the wheel of that car, out of the chicane at turn 7. There's not an awful lot of space on the right-hand side there for the cars to squeeze their way through, but yellow flags are out. This is how we got there. There's a chunk of curb on the left and, yeah, just looping the back end of the Mercedes round.
I've seen Dexter Muller dance on many an occasion, but this is one dance move I don't think he necessarily wanted to pull off.
Well, hopefully he'll, just get it pointing in the right direction. He was backing it up to try and get into... hopefully not the grass and the gravel, because otherwise he may well end up stuck there. And now this is the Proctor car, the 66 Greystone McLaren, going off at the penultimate corner.
They've also had a driver change this weekend.
So 7 substitute drivers in this weekend. So Lorenzo Flusha, that you mentioned there, in for Charles Bateman in the number 96 Motorpark Mercedes. Stephen Gray is in for Lewis Proctor, who just got married.
Yeah,
congratulations to him. So Stephen Gray partnering father Stuart Proctor, and that was normally the lad and dad combination. And then Rolf Eichen has been replaced by Simon Connor Prim after he's still recovering from his injury that he sustained in qualifying at Spa, Lamborghini Junior in the number 63 car. Then we have the reigning Ferrari Challenge champion making his is in his GT3 debut year at the moment, Alessio Dono, who's in for Giorgio Cernighiotto in the number 25, because Giorgio's racing in IMSA, as is Jordan Pepper, who has Maximilian Paul partnering him in the number 10 Oregon Lamborghini. Tiemann van der Helm also racing in IMSA this weekend. This is 6 Hours of the Glen. So Emil Persson is in the number 7 car collection Porsche. And then lastly, we have David Fuminelli in for Luca Ludwig, who is racing in Ferrari Challenge this weekend with Mertel Motorsport. And breathe.
Breathe. Breathe, Chris. Breathe. We have Alan Couder fastest in the first sector. Now, we shouldn't be too shocked to see this, because Alan Couder, as well as his teammate Marcelo Hahn, they've actually been on pole at this race in the past. Quite a few, well, a couple of times, in fact. They did it back in 2018 for the first time in race 2, and they did exactly the same the following season. Back-to-back years where they would take pole at this track. Quite fitting to have them back here again. Surely lightning can't strike twice here, Chris. Or 3 times, I should say.
I thought we were going to see a loop there for the 777, although he was getting very, he's flirting with danger there with the grass. Carol Bash hoping to regain some honour for Team Poland after yesterday's disappointing matchup against Austria. In fact, we were watching that in the East Talent garage. They were going absolutely nuts last night.
There were contrasting atmospheres in the two different ends of the paddock.
The two Audi camps, yes. Right, more drama at the penultimate corner. This time the number 6 get speed, Aaron Walker, the young Brit, just running straight on there. And now, a big moment for the car collection number 15. Now, who is driving that one? Gustav Bergström, the young Swede, still in his first year of GT3 competition. He is gathered that up very nicely at the chicane.
Yeah, they had a rough weekend back at Spa, unfortunately, coming into contact with Nicola Marinangeli coming out of turn 1. It ended their race, and they were unable to compete. It was very early on as well, so they didn't really get a chance to get going. But unfortunately for Gustav Bergström, he was at the wheel on that occasion. No doubt redemption on the table here for the car collection team, looking ahead to this weekend as we now keep our eyes peeled on the pairing of Dominic Baumann and Mikael Pitamba as they now head through the middle sector in towards the latter sector. Unfortunately, we've also got a travesty of haircuts over at the SPS Performance Automotive alike. I'm not sure.
Wow, you take violence this morning.
Hey, listen, the difference is, I told him in person when I saw him yesterday.
That is true. We did say it to Mikael's face at the very least.
Absolutely. Well, he's not at the wheel this time. It's his co-driver Dominic Baumann at the wheel of this one. Third fastest at the moment, and registering a personal improvement in the first sector. Lost time in sector 2, and he might yet lose more time this time coming through sector 3 as he heads through turn 14. But the fastest time on the board, should we be surprised? It's Fabian Schiller who's on top, 1:58.831. Not improving on his next lap as now we see Dominic Baumann cross the line. What's he going to register? You can barely see him, in fact. Look at the mist throughout the long straight. Baumann still remains in P3 with a 1:59.821. Still a long way to go in qualifying, though.
That could be worse. It could be at the Nürburgring, where you can't see 10 feet in front of you for the fog at the moment. Very, true. Very much like the 24 hours out there at the moment, where a number of these drivers were competing. Yeah. In fact, Jordan Pepper, the best placed of our GT Open regulars, we might say, finishing 5th. And actually, while we're talking of races that have happened since we were at Spa, let's congratulate a former Pro-Am champion of the GT Open, Brendan Iribe, scored McLaren's first ever Le Mans 24 Hours pole position, still sharing a car with Ollie Milroy as well. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, of course, what a partnership they were in the International GT Open, that's for sure. Immensely talented pairing, and going on to greater success still alike. Also on the quest for greater success is Eddie Cheever. Of course, he is a reigning Pro-Am champion in this series and brought about the first championship win for the Ferrari 296 coming into the closing stages of last season. Now about to cross the line once again, going second fastest in this instance. Of course, or should I say retaining second fastest. There's Carol Bash's Audi R8 LMS coming in just for a quick check. Of course, we saw him running slightly wide of the curb coming out of turn 7, but he did well to rescue it. Obviously, just trying to find the limits. We were having a great debate with Christopher Haase from East Talent Racing last night as to how the cars behave out on track given where the engines are positioned inside the cars, and finding that balance of how to extract the higher levels of pace and the delta, where to find it. Very tricky, he was mentioning, Chris, out here at Hungaroring. Yeah, tricky for the Porsche there as well. We could very easily have skated off the road there, could Bergström, as soon as you dip 2 wheels onto that painted runoff area. But yes, the Audi given a 5-kilogram break since the endurance race at Spa, whereas the Ferrari, conversely, is actually 5 kilos heavier than where it was at Spa, but a little bit more turbo boost on its turbocharged V6 engine. Someone's just skated through the gravel. Could hear it, could also see the stones being flicked up there. Who was just in front of the 17 Mercedes here? Well, we're going to see it. Oh, is that Eddie Cheever? It is, yeah. So Eddie's just taken a shortcut through the gravel at the chicane at turns 6 and 7, and just trying to see out the back of the window whether the rain has gotten worse. It doesn't seem to have, so conditions in theory should be improving. Yeah, I believe so. Because we have seen already qualifying sessions out prior to this out on track. Rubber has been laid down, but at the same time the weather is sort of made a departure, then a reoccurrence. We've seen that consistently through the course of the morning, so don't be too shocked should the conditions change continuously through the course of this session. Got the live speed graphic at the bottom right-hand side as well for
Nice.
Emil Persson, just giving us a reading as to the pace of the car coming through the middle to late section. You can just see that a heavy braking zone coming in towards turn 13 and then back on the power once again here in the Porsche.
Yes, Emil Persson joining the number 7 crew in place of Timo van der Helm, as we alluded to earlier. Former teammate to Gustav Bergström in Carrera Cup Scandinavia as well, the Swedish driver who has a fair bit of success racing in Sweden, Legends champion and V8 Thundercars champion in his home country. Meanwhile, the sister car has come in and the hood's up on the front of that car, but that's not necessarily looking at the engine because, of course, the 911 is rear-engined, which does make it, in theory, quite good in these conditions. But so far, the top Porsche is in 7th position. It's currently Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Audi in the top 5, as we see another of the Spirit of Race at Ferraris, Nicola Marinangeli, building up to a hot lap and unleashing the taps on that twin-turbo V6 to go back on board with Carol Bash, who's currently 5th fastest. Fastest in the speed trap as well, incidentally. 225 kilometers an hour, which gives you... Oh, he runs straight on down at turn 2. No grip on that painted runoff area there, and so he'll have to abort this lap and go for another one.
Certainly will. Carol Bash, though, is someone you can really count on to extract the pace. Who, like I said, talking to Christopher Haase, and he, of course, was under no illusions of Bash's talents, saying how much of a quality driver he truly is, and certainly shown that over the course of many campaigns, as we now have the 99 scooting off. The Attempto taking, well, making another attempt of getting out of the gravel. Alex Arkin Arca.
Yeah, Alex Arca off the road for the 2nd time in this session, as Giuseppe Cipriani joins the rostrum of drivers who have explored the runoff area at the penultimate corner at turn 13. Going to start a running tab of who's been in that escape road, because there'll be more rubber in the escape road than there will be on the racetrack at
you just see the standing water littered across this circuit anyway. It's very tricky for some of these drivers to negotiate their way around a track such as this, given the fact, especially at this point, it's so narrow. Trying to find those dry areas is so tricky. Fabian Schiller, though, finding something, because he's up on his time. Purple in that first sector with 76 thousandths under his belt already. Let's see if Sector 2 can reciprocate it. Let's wait and see. It could yet be a determination that the conditions are somewhat improving. We are seeing some green inroads further down the order with the likes of Alessio Deleda, Nicola Marinangeli, Alan Coder. Schiller still purple out of Sector 2, despite losing a fragment of time, is still currently ahead on his very best lap. Still at the top of the timing screen, but coming out of turn 13 very slow and very wide. Coming out of that, and a flash of the lights as he looks to try and get some track space. He, another one changing his hairstyle this weekend, because he's gone from blonde to brown.
I think he did that a while ago, actually. Saw him at the Nürburgring, and he had his natural colour back. But yes, in the end, 1.1 seconds off of his benchmark time, which remains at 1:58.831. Nearly half a second clear of Eddie Cheever in 2nd position, who has the Pro-Am pole as it stands. And now Fabian's teammate Anthony Bartone was out with the Get Speed team at the Road to Le Mans race a couple of weeks ago, alongside Steve Jantz. We also had the Motorpark pairing as well, Rumpkarl and Neumann out there as well, and Rumpkarl currently on the AM pole position as well. Right as I say that, Giuseppe Cipriani takes it away from him in 18th position overall. Of course, 3 different class of cars, all GT3 cars, but the driver lineups is what determines whether you're in Pro, Pro-Am or Am.
Well, we're now watching Michele Rugolo back out on track once again, someone who has taken various victories in the past. He's a previous winner at this in GT Open competition alike, and has got one of the longest served legacies in the history of this series, and is now back again, having just cut the chicane there as well at turn 6 and 7, but coming through the latter sectors, obviously he'll be looking to try and tee up yet another run. Still Schiller, though, clear by 4.5 tenths. Here's Carol Bash, once again just hitting that curbing out of turn 7 and sliding the car coming out of turn 7 through towards turn 8.
That is perfection. Absolute perfection.
Well, if you want illustration as to how great Karel Bash is, there it is, right there.
You need the lap, his pole lap from Portimao in similar conditions to this, where he really stuck it to the rest of the field with a sensational performance. Not quite finding that same speed out there at the moment, though. Currently a second off of Schiller's provisional pole time. This is the number 63 Oregon Lamborghini. Leonardo Polcini, the 2022 Drivers' Champion at the wheel of that car. But, of course, in 63, he's got a new teammate, Simon Connor Prim, standing in for Rolf Eichen, who we mentioned earlier. Still recovering from his rather nasty qualifying crash he had at Spa a few weeks ago.
Yeah. We're going to obviously give our best well wishes to Rolf Eichen, wishing him a speedy recovery after that huge impact at the Tech Pro coming out of Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Obviously being replaced this weekend with Simon Connor Prim. Very talented young driver in his own right. Competed in ADAC GT Masters as well as GT4 Germany for ADAC as well. Karting between 2015 and 2022 alike, as we now see Gustav Bergström coming into the pits in the Porsche.
He's a youngster, is Prim, just 19 years old, Lamborghini Junior, and in his first year of GT3 racing in the GT Masters, as you mentioned there, George. So be excited to see what he can do. And we've got another new entry there as well for this weekend is the 43 Zengo Motorsports car. Both team and driver Daniel Nagy from here in Budapest are making their GT3 debut, both with a fair bit of success in the world of touring cars. We just saw a glimpse of them before we started to follow Alan Kader here. Where are they in the Pro-Am standings at the moment? They're a little bit further back, so they've only had one podium to their name, haven't they? Yes, 8th in the Pro-Am standings going into this weekend. The Pro-Am fight, as ever, is absolutely sensational. I think it's 17 cars we have here, which is more than half the field. All in Pro-Am, and once again, just an absolutely sensational fight where we're largely looking at the 27 Chiva Polcini Ferrari, the Bash Jedlinski Audi, but also Thomas Eichen and Morten Stromstead have thrown their hat into the ring as well. We can't discount Aaron Walker and Valentin Pierberg. They were on the podium at the endurance race at Spa last time out as well. Of course, Ernst Kirkmeyer was race winner in Hockenheim as well with Luca Ludwig, but he's not here this weekend. So yeah, another fantastic fight brewing.
Yeah, still the rain continuing to fall all but lightly. I think we are seeing the track temperature starting to take a ripe upwards curve now over the last 3 hours. We're now coming up towards the 25-degree zone.
It's a whole 1.2 degrees warmer than it was at the start of the session.
Well, hey, listen, it makes a difference.
Every little helps.
It does help. And obviously, with Schiller now being on top, 2 Pro-Ams, though, sitting in second and third with Chiva and Rugolo. Marinangeli fourth fastest at this point, 9.5 tenths off the pace of Schiller, with Dominic Baumann in 5th as well, as we now watch the cars make their way down in towards the next lap. The 63 Oregon team Lamborghini also making its way around on track with Leonardo Polcini at the wheel, the 2022 International GT Open champion, who was absolutely sensational back there, winning it with this very team, Oregon team Lamborghini. And you can only wonder that Jerry Canavicio will be hoping that his cars will be able to put something in motion this weekend, and you give them a chance, given the fact that Maximilian Paul went ahead and won here last season. And he's back this weekend. Yes,
he is. He's back in the number 10, filling in for Jordan Peppers, racing at the 6 Hours of the Glen this weekend. And, of course, we all remember Maximilian Paul's sensational last corner outside pass here last year. And, yeah, he's back, which is...
You could thank the man who's sitting in P4 for it as well, because it was what happened between...
Marinangeli was the first domino to fall, really, wasn't he? Was he going to the side of Sam Dehaan? If you haven't seen the end of last year's race, then I strongly urge you to look it up on the International GT Open YouTube channel. All the streams you'll find there.
Absolutely. Of course, it was when the Ferrari of Nicola Marinangeli would come to contact with the McLaren 720S of Sam Dehaan, an Optimum Motorsport last season in their battle for winning superiority on the final lap as the timer ticked to 0 here at Hungaroring at the end of last season. And it allowed Maximilian Paul to leverage himself to the front, coming through the final corner here at this very circuit, coming through this final corner here, then teeing up the run down the long straight.
Actually, we were talking about the reigning champions, Charlie Fagg. I think he was Lewis Proctor's best man at his wedding last weekend, actually, as well.
It's amazing how everything's interlinked, isn't it, and interwoven. Incredible. Marco Seibert going faster in the first sector, but still only 16th fastest for now. Petrov goes into 15th place, so that's Artem Petrov for another Oregon car that is on the move. As Marco Seibert goes fastest with a 1:58.806 by 25 thousandths, Chris.
Where did that come from? Absolutely nowhere from the Argentinian.
He was fastest in the first sector, just seemed to dip off a little bit in sector 2, but enough in sector 3, clearly.
There's 3 personal bests. Fastest in the middle sector now is Karol Bash in the Olymp Audi, currently 8th fastest. And now we're on board with the Polish driver. So he comes through the final couple of corners. Let's see where he can put it, getting dangerously close. Oh, he's off the road, had to gather up the car there. Now, the good news is he'll get an excellent exit onto the front straight to open up the next lap, but it's not going to be this one, I think. The one that does it for him. Indeed, it was not. Fastest in the final sector, meanwhile, Alex Fontana with 2 personal bests in the first and second sector as well. He's just gone 6th fastest.
Karol Bash now coming out of turn 1. He'll then send it down through towards turn 2 and turn 3. Now, this is where he got hung out to dry not too long ago, getting onto the painted section of track. You can just see it off circuit there, but this time, no such concern for Karol Bash, who now will look to make his way through turn 3 and then upwards towards turn 4. Very fast-paced left-hander. You've got to be so careful on entry and exit because it's very, very tight to the runoff as you make your way around towards turn 5. And then again, you've got raised curbs to the inside as well for the Audi to try and deal with. You can just see there the rear slowly snapping, but Karol Bash dealing with it well, and he's already up on his time by nearly 1.5 tenths. He's looking so quick right now.
Fastest in the first sector, Karol Bash. And now down to 10th fastest and 5th amongst the Pro-Am runners, so he does need to make this lap count. Only 5 and a bit minutes left on the clock as he slides the Audi out of turn 7 once again. We've seen him really flirting with danger on the exit of that corner, but that might have been a little too flirtatious.
Well, Karol Bash clearly spies opportunity here. He's pushing, he's trying to excavate, find all the limits here around Hungaroring. It's very, very tricky around a circuit such as this, given how technical this circuit can be. Monaco without walls is what they call it. You just see the time loss that he's unfortunately sustained. It's not horrendous. He might still get it back coming through the 3rd sector, but there again...
The time itself in the middle sector is not an improvement, but the overall time might well still be. As he comes up through the final corner again. So a lap ago, he had a big moment here on the outside, gives it a bit of a wider berth this time around. So Karol Bash drives up towards the timing line. Where does he put it? He goes top. What? How did he do that? Well, that was sensational.
Like I said, the final sector could have made all the difference. It certainly did. He did a personal best with a 33.014. Karol Bash welcoming himself and the Audi R8 to the party.
And with this moment as well, he was on the grass. Look at that.
Clearly upset after losing last night between Austria and Poland.
What a moment. Look how hard he's been working on the steering wheel as well.
That's commitment.
No, track limits though, George. Is that going to be an issue?
That could have been the catalyst right there for why he lost the rear so much. Just too much commitment coming into the second half of the chicane.
Well, we'll see.
Then again, Dominic Bauman's just gone purple in the middle sector. So watch this, folks. Track conditions clearly improving now. And Dominic Bauman goes fastest here with 3 minutes and 30 to go. And I can already imagine the reaction from Mikel Pitamba after that one. A 1:58.396. A whole near 4 tenths quicker than Karol Bash.
Very nicely done in the SBS Mercedes. That has been one of the most consistent cars throughout the entire campaign. Only 1 podium finish to their name, but they have been scoring points on a regular basis while everyone else has been up and down, winning races, but then no points, whereas they've just been there throughout the entire campaign pretty much. And we know they've got more speed, really, than necessarily the results show.
Well, if you look at last season as well, one of the cars that actually had one of the most wins, Fabian Schiller, though, advancing his Mercedes higher. Look at that, just over 0.2 pounds alone on top of Bauman's time in that first sector. And you know, he's still got a whole lap to persevere through. He just makes his way out of the chicane now. So all eyes now on Fabian Schiller, who's going to try and send a chiller down the spine of every single driver here in amongst this grid order. 2 minutes and 30 to go, but he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. We'll need to hook things up, heading through the next left-hander. Very fast pace now, coming through this next right, through out of turn 8, turn 9, and then through towards turn 10 and turn 11, down the straight towards turn 12. Needs to try and find something more. Has lost a little bit of time for the back. Maranangeli going second fastest, but still over a tenth on top here, Fabian Schiller. It's all about the final sector. 2 minutes to go. The clock is ticking. Can the combination of Schiller and Bartone cause a shockwave once again, as they've already done so far through the course of the campaign? Bauman sits on top in his Mercedes, but could it be a sister Mercedes this time to take it away from them? SPS versus Get Speed. Will Get Speed get speedy with Fabian Schiller? Not quite. Only enough for second fastest. 35 thousandths away coming out of sector 3.
Wow. And Chiva going over the line. He's on a really good lap here in the spirit of race. Ferrari goes second fastest. 35 thousandths of a second separates the top three with a minute and a half left on the clock. And Chiva, if he's still pushing, he's going to have to round up this Mercedes. The lap might already be ruined.
Well, Simon Riker also posting a decent lap to go 7th fastest as well, so that could serve them fairly well heading into the race later on this afternoon when Christopher Haase gets behind the wheel later. But like you so rightly say, you know, we got a matter now that concerns traffic out in these very fragile moments of qualifying. So if these drivers are looking for late improvements, which could happen as Dunner goes to 8th fastest, it's going to be tricky because, you know, essentially this is probably the best the track has been throughout the course of the session. They're finding these improvements, but traffic now being a concern.
I think it has, George. A number of the top drivers at the moment have just done their personal best, but less than a minute left on the clock, and who's improving at the moment? Simon Riker's just done a personal best first sector in 7th position. But no one else at the moment really seems to be on a hot one out there, except for Fabian Schiller, who has managed to lower the benchmark. It's quicker than what Bauman did in the first sector, but lost a heap of time in the middle sector there, did Schiller. I don't know if he had traffic there potentially, but it doesn't look like this one's going to be an improvement either. And neither for Bauman's lap as well there. Chiva's lost 2 seconds in the middle sector there as well. So it does look like it's going to be Dominic Bauman as the checkered flag comes out, unless anybody can spring a surprise in the dying stages of this qualifying session. Schiller goes over the line over a second behind in the end. Riker's still on a decent one. Alam Kader has just improved to go 12th fastest and 6th of the Pro-Am runners. Timo Rumpfkarl has taken back the Ampole position for Motorpark, by the way, in 16th position, as Bauman's gone over the line, or he's in the pit lane. Seabear, 2/10 down. How's this middle sector going to be? Well, slides the Mercedes out of turn 11 and loses a heap of time there as well. Riker didn't end up improving on that lap, so I think it is going to be SPS and Dominic Bauman on top for race 1.
And incredible. Just look at the gaps as well between the top three. The top three all sitting within 35 thousandths of a second. That is truly remarkable. But SPS in charge and on top, ahead of Eddie Chiva in his Ferrari 296. A sister Mercedes as well sat in third, but that one belonging to Get Speed Performance with Fabian Schiller on board. What a finale we have had to qualifying. Nicola Marinangeli with arguably one of his better qualifying performances so far this season. One of his best, in fact, ahead of Carol Bash down in 5th. Marco Seeber in 6th, Simon Riker in 7th place. Watch that Audi this weekend, because I think they're going to be quite quick when it comes down to race trim, especially when Christopher Haase will get on board after a really decent qualifying session for Simon Riker, I'd argue, Chris.
Very good, yes, in the East Talent Audi there, 7th position. Also, shout out to Daniel Nagy and the Zengo Motorsport team. GT3 debut for both team and driver, 22nd place.
Yeah, brilliant display, fabulous effort, and of course we've got to give credit to Timo Rumpf-Kyle on bringing yet another audit to Team Motor Park, as now we watch the man himself make his way up towards the line. It's a 2:01. Certainly won't be an improvement on what he's already managed to lay down, but 16th fastest for the Mercedes. But it's Dominic Baumann on top here in the International GT Open once again. One of the team combinations that we saw towards the tail end of last season, they've since kicked on and managed to extract yet more grandeur through the course of this campaign. Have taken a 2nd position already this campaign, and also a pole position already prior to this. So they are obviously in rude health this season.
Austria on top again, George.
Yeah, they certainly are. Yeah, don't tell Carol. But yes, our pole sitter, Dominic Baumann, in charge and on top for SBS Automotive Performance. Eddie Cheever in 2nd for Spirit of Race. Fabian Schiller for Get Speed in 3rd. Nicola Marinangeli in 4th. Carol Bash in 5th. Marcos Seeber in 6th. Simon Riker in 7th. Alex Fontana in 8th. Alex Arkin-Acker in 9th place. Michele Rugolo in 10th place. Then 11th place going to Gustav Bergström further down. Alan Kader qualifying into 12th. Leonardo Polcini in 13th. Lucas Dunner in 14th place, with Aaron Walker in 15th. Timo Rumpf-Kyle in 16th. Emil Persson in 17th. We then have Alessio Deleda in 18th. 19th for Artem Petrov. 20th for Thomas Eichen. Jim Pla in 21st. Daniel Nagy in 22nd. We then have Philip Salakada in 23rd. Ernst Kirkmeyer in 24th place, with Giuseppe Cipriani 25th. Dexter Muller in 26th. Alessandro Cosi in 27th. Then 28th for Kiki Saknana. Stanislav Jedlinski in 29th. Stuart Proctor in 30th place. And that runs off the final of the runners coming through qualifying. But what a tremendous effort from Dominic Baumann, a 1:58.396 to place his car on top here post-qualifying. A wonderful effort on his part. No doubt more to come from this pairing of Baumann and Pitamba. Cars now coming into the pit lane. But here comes now your top 3. Fabian Schiller, he came close right to the very end. 35 thousandths between the entirety of the top 3 here. Schiller getting close, but not quite close enough. Only enough for 3rd. Eddie Cheever split the 2 Mercedes, placing his Ferrari 296 in 2nd. He'll be joining, though, an SBS Performance Mercedes on the front row together when they undertake the rolling start. But Dominic Baumann in charge and on top for SPS Performance. Mercedes back again this time around, and they are standing by with Alfredo.
Dominic Baumann, pole position for race 1 at the Hungaroring. Was it as wet as it looked from outside?
Actually, it was not too bad. It looked worse the session before with the Formula cars. I really enjoyed it. It was unexpected completely because it was so hot yesterday and the day before. So I woke up this morning with the rain. I was like, okay, it's the wrong hotel room. But I don't know, we did a great job. The car was amazing. We had a right strategy with the new tires, with the 2nd set. And the car was just great to drive.
And clearly it's the best position to be this afternoon.
Yes, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, because after the practice session in the dry we were okay, we were not really strong. But now with the pole position for the first race is amazing. I hope this time we can put P1 at the end of the race, because last time we were 2nd, but still it's a perfect starting position.
Well done, and we'll see this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A good position indeed for Dominic Baumann. They'll go racing later on this afternoon. Join us at 2:30 local time for 70 minutes of action. We'll see you then.